Some moments change history. This is the story of Juan Ponce de León's final expedition. We find ourselves in spring 1513. Spanish soldiers and a Catholic priest landed on the shores of La Florida, unaware of what lay ahead. Leading the expedition was Juan Ponce de León. Before him stretched a land unlike anything the Spanish had ever claimed, wild, fertile, and full of possibilities. This was no simple expedition. Every decision, every supply, and every map pointed toward one goal: establishing Spain's first permanent colony in La Florida. Ponce de León saw more than a coastline. He saw fertile land, protected waterways, and the promise of a colony that could endure for generations. As the expedition pushed farther inland, they made an unexpected discovery. For the first time, they encountered the people of La Florida. Now, among the many stories surrounding Juan Ponce de León, none is more famous than his search for the legendary Fountain of Youth. Whether fact or folklore, Florida's crystal clear springs would become forever linked to his name. Standing before these remarkable waters, history leaves us to wonder what he truly believed. With new discoveries behind them, the expedition turned toward home.
Vamos, amigos, a las Indias!
Back in Spain, Ponce de León shared his discoveries with King Ferdinand II. The voyage had revealed new lands and new possibilities. 8 years later, Ponce de León prepared for one final voyage.
Todo está preparado, capitán. Sí, mi señor, capar. Listos para zarpar.
Mantened la vela, hombres. Hacia el oeste.
In February 1521, his ship sailed west towards La Florida once again. After nearly 2 months at sea, La Florida stood before them once again.
La costa es hermosa.
Todo listo, capitán.
This time, they had come to stay. However, they did not return unnoticed. Hidden among the coastal forest, their first witness silently observed every movement. The arrival of Spanish horses would forever change the history of the Americas, but for those watching from the forest, this was likely their first encounter with such a remarkable animal. Within hours, the shoreline began to change. Supplies were unloaded, shelters were raised, and Spain's first attempt to establish a permanent colony in La Florida had begun. The news spread quickly. The people who called these shores home, the Calusa, gathered their leaders to decide how they would respond. Before making their decision, the Calusa sought to learn more about the newcomers. Experienced warriors quietly followed their trail, searching for answers. What they found would shape everything that followed. They studied the strangers' every move. Soon, they discovered the heart of the Spanish encampment. As the expedition ventured deeper into the wilderness, every step carried them farther into unfamiliar territory. Unseen among the forests, Calusa scouts quietly tracked every movement. And without warning, the two worlds stood face to face. Neither side knew what would happen next.
Los nativos están preparados, capitán.
Reports from the patrols confirmed what Ponce had already suspected. They were not alone, and neither side intended to leave. As the Spanish planned their colony, the Calusa leaders began planning its removal. The Spanish strengthened their defenses, unaware that every timber they raised only reinforced the Calusa's resolve. As day gave way to night, both sides prepared for what they believed was coming. By sunrise, nothing would be the same. At first light, the Spanish resumed their routine, unaware that hidden eyes were watching from beyond the trees. And for a brief moment, the forest remained silent. And then everything changed. The Calusa struck from the forests, never standing in the open. Just as the Spanish started looking for them, another volley came from a different direction. Hidden among the trees, the Calusa waited with remarkable discipline. And then, their arrows were released as one. The defenders could do little but take cover as another deadly volley swept through the encampment. Ponce de León answered with a command.
¡Fuego! ¡Apagad las heridas!
And the Spanish finally returned fire, only to be met with another volley of arrows. Unable to fight an enemy they couldn't see, the Spanish left the safety of the fort. It was a fatal mistake. Moments later, Juan Ponce de León fell. Mortally wounded, the expedition abandoned its colony and retreated to the ships. The Calusa had successfully defended their homeland. Juan Ponce de León would die soon after arriving in Cuba, bringing his final expedition to La Florida to an end. But the people who defended their homeland never left. More than 5 centuries later, the story of those who met on those shores still echoes through history. Their choices helped shape the Florida we know today, and remind us that every place has a story long before history writes it down. What chapter of history should we fast forward to next? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next journey through history.